Welcome to the Retirement's Next Steps podcast. I'm your host, Jill Templeton-Haislip, Global Real Estate Advisor and Senior Real Estate Specialist with Russ Lyon Sotheby's International Realty DeGeorge Partners. This podcast is a valuable resource for retirees looking to connect with industry experts who can enhance your retirement experience. With so many companies, products, and services available, it can be overwhelming to know where to start. Let us help you navigate through it all and find the resources you truly need to make the most of your retirement years. As always, you can join us in person with each of our industry experts for the full presentation every month on the last Thursday at 4 p.m. Our office is located at 16872 East Avenue of the Fountains, Suite 103 in Fountain Hills, Arizona. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get started. I am super excited today to have my good friend and colleague, Jeannie Grates, here with us. Jeannie Grates is the Community Business Development Director with Cogir Senior Living. As part of our Retirement's Next Step series, it just made sense for Jeannie to come out and talk to us about navigating the senior journey. So a lot of folks hear senior living and they kind of back away and they're like, I don't want anything to do with it. Jeannie is the perfect person to explain what exactly is senior living. So let's start very basic. What is senior living?
So senior living, as defined by Cogir standards, is really a lifestyle choice. It's not your grandfather's nursing home. It is a purpose-filled experience where people who are independent, who want to age in place, might need assistance right away, or might need a secure memory care neighborhood. And it's packed full of semi-custom experiences. Fine dining, luxurious apartments, and a nice social life if that's something that people we serve are interested in.
And I like that you touched on that there is different lifestyles based off of where an individual is in their senior journey. So talk a little bit about, a lot of us know it as independent living, assisted living, and memory care. And some communities will speak on it differently, but kind of explain what are the differences. If I, maybe in my mid to late 60s, early 70s, and I'm still very vibrant, do I have to move into assisted living where maybe I may not fit in? What does that look like?
So in most of our communities, our independent living and our assisted living apartments are integrated. Today, I'm here to showcase Andorra, which is about 9 miles from your beautiful office here in Fountain Hills. And that offers a strictly independent living apartment building that's right adjacent to the building where people need assistance or a secure memory care neighborhood are located. So we have people that move in their 60s, in their early 70s, where they want to be exclusively independent. Maybe they're still traveling or playing golf and visiting friends and wanting to cook in their apartment. And so at Andorra, we have like an a la carte situation. So people can treat it pretty much like an apartment and still live their best life with secure concierge. Should something happen, there are people on staff to assist and that sort of thing. So we provide all those 3 different levels. But if you're still active and vibrant and you want to let go of all of those things that homeownership becomes, hard to navigate as we get a little older, it really kind of frees you up and makes you a little more independent.
Absolutely. And it gives them more time to enjoy the activities and everything that the community has to offer. Plus, you had touched on dining. Let's talk about the amazing food that you guys offer. I've been to a variety of your different communities, so I can say that they have very good food. And I think there's also that misconception from folks that it's going to be, maybe not as good of quality, but talk a little bit about that because it's an important part of life.
So with Cogir Senior Living, there are sort of 3 key areas where I think we do a really great job of investing, and one of which is our dining. And so all of our dining rooms are just that. They're restaurant oriented. There are hardcover menus, and people have an all-day menu, any day dining selection of filet mignon, salmon, signature burgers, signature salads, custom pizzas, pancakes, omelets. And then there's a breakfast menu dedicated, a full lunch menu, full dinner menu, and then there's specials. And there are a lot of choices, but it's very restaurant oriented. And because we have almost 100 communities nationwide, we have an overall regional culinary director that makes sure that we're nutrition based, but that we also have a lot of great choices. And because we have those economies of scale, we can really deliver those higher end dishes.
Yes. And that's not just available in independent living. Residents in assisted living are still getting those options, and it varies in memory care based off of what a resident is able to eat. Is that fair to say?
That is very fair to say. Most people, I think traditionally, when we think about our grandparents and maybe their experience, maybe it's, yay, it's meatloaf today. And, oh, you can have a scoop of vanilla ice cream with a chocolate chip cookie if you want. Oh, no. We make homemade soups. We make homemade desserts. There's always a plethora of choices, and it's upscale at our communities at Cogir.
Absolutely. So a lot of folks, I would say, are hesitant, and there's all of these myths, which I think we touched on a few of them there. But what would you say we can really help people today with this podcast to open their minds up to senior living and looking at it differently from their parents or their grandparents, where there was maybe a stigma around it, and how much the industry has shifted?
So I really appreciate that you bring that topic up. Again, most people have that built-in narrative of what their grandparents experienced. And we want to share with people that we know that people want to be in charge and in control of their present and their future. And we find the best outcomes are with those people, those older adults who make those decisions for themselves, rather than waiting for a little hiccup or even a crisis where their adult children have to step in, maybe help them make hard decisions very quickly. And oftentimes it takes them a lot longer to adjust and start enjoying life. But we find the folks that make those decisions in advance for themselves, for all the reasons that we talked about: lifestyle, independence, travel, great places to go with transportation and care in place. And again, having that self-decision rather than waiting for a crisis. And I think if people can wrap their head around the fact that they can still be making those choices for themselves, I think they would feel more comfortable with it.
Absolutely. Now, for your style of communities that you offer, residents, do they need to move in independent living, or can they move in whatever stage in life that they're in?
We meet people wherever they are at. And because our communities all have a license aspect to them where we are responsible ultimately for everyone, when we onboard a resident, we have them meet with our resident services director, who's also a licensed nurse, and they do an in-depth assessment. And that is just to ensure that we have the services available and that we are giving them what they need along their journey. And so that way we have an idea so that if there is a crisis while they're living with us and there's a change, we know who their doctor is. We know that they take certain medications on their own. We're ready to step in and give them that care and make it a seamless sort of internal transition.
Okay. And that's nice to know, because I think sometimes people get confused on, when is the time to move in? And let's shift to when is the time to move in. I found that when I worked in senior living, that in a lot of situations, we would see individuals say, should have done this sooner. I could have enjoyed this so much more if I had done this maybe when I was more agile and able to do more things. Or, I was sitting at home alone for so long and I didn't have that companionship of being around other people. We obviously don't have a crystal ball. We can't say this is when somebody should move in. But what advice can you give when it comes to that?
I would say what you brought up were key indicators. If you start to feel a little lonely, when your neighbors and your friends seem to be moving away or passing, when your children come to visit for the holidays and they say, hey, Mom, I noticed that it must be harder for you to keep the house up the way you used to. Mm-hmm. Or maybe when you notice that it just becomes a burden to even arrange for the person to do the pool and the trees and the housekeeping and those sorts of things. So I think just being honest with yourself about when things become more challenging and when you feel like you're relying on your neighbors to drive you places and you're not as comfortable to drive.
Yes.
Because when we go to the theater or to museums or to musical events or restaurants, we provide the transportation, so we make it safe.
Yes.
So when you start to feel like things maybe aren't as safe for you, I think that's a good time to take a look. And I think even when you're 100% well and you're getting into your 60s, 70s, take a look. There's no harm to go have lunch at a community. See how others are enjoying their lifestyle get a feel for the communities that you're looking at. Figure out where the location is that's going to be important to you and what feels like home, because what feels like home is different to everybody.
Yes.
And we would want you to experience our dining room. Come and have lunch. Take a look around. There's no pressure there. Start planning ahead.
Absolutely. And I encourage clients to look at it the same as when you're going to purchase a house or purchase a condo. It's the same principle. What are those key important things? Whether it's a list of 3 or 7, write those down, put them in order of what is most important to you. And when you're going out to a community and you're meeting with the sales directors that are there, let them know what's important. Because just walking around, you may miss something that was key and important to you. So I think it's important to come prepared to that and knowing what you want. And each community is going to offer dining and activities and those types of things, but each one's going to be a little different. Mm-hmm. So you spoke about Andara, which is the closest community to Fountain Hills. It's a gorgeous community. You guys just went through a remodel, correct?
Yeah.
What else would you like to share about that community? And you do also have a few that are, not as close as the Andara, but just right down the road. So if you want to touch on a few of the communities that you guys offer, because each one is a little unique.
They all offer a little different location. I first want to share a little bit about Andara. We do have a swimming pool. We do water aerobics. We keep our pool heated. We are pet friendly.
It's important. Everybody remember that. People think in Arizona, but heated is important. Sorry about that.
That's okay. We welcome your pets. Your furry friends are part of your family. So keep in mind that we want that pet to be appropriate for a building. That doesn't mean it has to be small. It just has to be appropriate and friendly. And I would say that our brand new fitness center is also a highlight and a feature. We have brand new equipment that have the elliptical seated bikes, and we offer yoga and all kinds of fitness classes that are geared to anybody's level. You can do it in your chair. You can stand up. You can be as ambitious as you like. So that community offers those. We have a beautiful movie theater that we feature movies and big leather, reclining chairs. So I think those are just some aesthetic key aspects. We really focus a lot in all of our communities on that music piece. So we do live music in all of our buildings, which
is quite impressive. I have been to some of their live music events, and it's quite impressive.
Thank you. It's really the universal language. Music is the universal language, and that is something that we definitely want people to enjoy and to continue to enjoy. So to your question so we have 9 senior living communities in Arizona. We have 1 in Glendale, Peoria. We have 3 here in Scottsdale, 2 in Mesa, and 1 in Chandler. The 3 here in Scottsdale are relatively close to each other, and Andara is the one that's closest to Fountain Hills. We also have Cogir Senior. So if you take Shay to Scottsdale Boulevard, we have a beautiful community there, and they just have a little different look and feel. Lots of couples live in that community. And then we have Cogir Troon, which is at the base of Pinnacle Peak and Troon Mountain.
And it's gorgeous.
Oh my gosh, it's up on the hill. And that one does not have the memory care piece to it, but we make that transition between our other two sister communities in Scottsdale. So if you like to be a little remote away, either Troon or Andara would give you that sort of feel. Mm-hmm. If you're the city person that wants to be right near, grocery stores, movie theaters, Scottsdale Boulevard, and all the shopping, then Cogir Senior would be a good.
And I think it's important for folks to understand that if you visit one, you haven't seen all the others. That each community does have its own feel, and part of that is based off of the residents who live there, the people that are drawn to there, just like neighborhoods, can vary. Plus the architecture may be different. The apartment sizes may be different. So it's important, I think, for people when they are beginning this senior journey to go and check out communities. Take notes. It's the same as looking at a house. You're going to get home and everything's going to blur together and you're going to forget, right? And take a friend or family member with you so that they can think of questions. I'm happy to go with my clients I have a great relationship with you guys, and it helps to just make people feel maybe a little bit more comfortable because they don't know what they don't know, right?
So 2 points that you're leading me to think of. First is, because we have great relationships like with Jill and Russ Lyon Sotheby's, we actually have a team of professionals that we can refer to you that are trusted and vetted that can make the complete transition smooth. So with selling of your property or positioning it for a rental, with the transition of moving your belongings and right sizing into your apartment, we have people that do custom interior design, all those sorts of things that can make that piece of it is not as scary. But I do want to touch on the size of apartments, and I'm glad you brought that up. Mm-hmm. They do vary in size. And I think one of the biggest hurdles for most of us to overcome is that we're used to these large homes with multiple rooms. And when we get down to brass tacks, when people, that becomes a stumbling block, is just let's talk about where you spend most of your time. Most of us spend time, we need a nice bedroom, and we like our kitchen, even if we're not cooking as much as we get older, and a family room / living room. And really that's where we spend most of our time. So imagine that the community is your living room, that you're living like a resort lifestyle. As if you were in a nice hotel,
Absolutely.
Where the common areas are your living space and your living room. And your apartment is really where you go to sleep or maybe read a book or have a friend over for a private conversation.
Yes.
I think that's one of the bigger hurdles that we try to help people get through is that right sizing.
And I think that is a very valid point. People go from, well, I live in so many square feet, and now you're wanting me to downsize to this. Yes, but right outside your bedroom door,
right,
or your private space is all of this. You have a dining room where you don't have to clean up after yourself. And you have the pool that somebody else is taking care of. And you have the activity center and the crafts and all of that type of stuff. So it's changing how people are thinking about the idea of senior living. So if somebody, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that when you go to visit, we're happy to pair you with someone that lives there. And you can sit privately with that person and ask them those tough questions. Because yes, we're going to see the community from this position of how wonderful it is. But until you talk to somebody who's experiencing it at the location, you may not really fully understand how they made that transition and how they're enjoying what they like best. And maybe some of the things that they don't like.
Right.
You need to know all of that, and you need to get that objectively.
I appreciate that you guys do that. That's wonderful. So if somebody wanted to gather some more information and are unable to make it to Retirement's Next Steps workshop, how would they get in touch with you to learn more about your communities?
Thank you for asking that, Jill. So I think the easiest website to remember is CogirUSA.com, and that's COGIRUSA.com. And there is a button to toggle that says find your communities. And then you can put in a zip code or a city and they all come up.
Perfect.
And then you can link directly.
Okay.
But for Andorra, that's an easy way to get their data, or you can call them and you can ask for Carly or Steve. And their number is 480-451-1800.
All your community numbers memorized?
We have 9, and we are adding a 10th in Scottsdale. So
I didn't know that. Congratulations. That's great.
We're breaking ground soon, and we're expanding in Arizona as well as throughout the rest of the U.S.
Wonderful. Well, I look forward to hearing more about that. I appreciate you so much for being here today. She is definitely one of our trusted partners in Retirement's Next Steps workshop. I also wanted to let everybody know that our Next Steps Navigating Housing Options for Seniors and Their Family did just arrive. So if you're interested in getting your own copy, it has a lot of great information. This came out from the National Association of Realtors, along with the Senior Real Estate Specialist designation. So reach out to me. I'm happy to get copies for you. And definitely don't forget to reach out to Jeannie for more information on senior living. And thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Retirement's Next Steps podcast. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me at 303-204-4432 or via email at jill@degeorgepartners.com. If you would like to attend one of our Retirement's Next Steps workshops, you can find the schedule on our website at Templeton-Haislip.com. Make sure to subscribe to Retirement's Next Steps YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn. Wishing you a happy and fulfilling retirement. We look forward to connecting with you again soon.